So we'll talk a little bit about training, management, leadership, those kinds of topics. We're assuming now we've hired our people, we're ready to get them moving, whether this is a new venture or we're bringing somebody into the fold. One of the first thing we need to do is give this person or people some sort of orientation. And so that means we're helping them become acquainted with our restaurant and to feel like they're a part of it, because most labor turnover occurs within the first few weeks of employment. So, for whatever reason it doesn't work out. They can't fit in with the staff. They can't do the job, whatever. So it's important at the beginning to kind of establish a bond between the new person and the restaurant. And so, among the goals of orientation would be to certainly make that employee feel welcome and let them know why they've been selected, particularly if we're talking about, a group interview or a large number of applicants. You're going to explain the company's history, your philosophy, your mission, goals, objectives, what you're about. Make sure that they know what to do and who to ask if they're not sure about things. You're going to explain and show what's expected, and then probably have other employees explain and demonstrate each task. So, a server might shadow another for a shift to get an idea of how the job is done. Or a cook might come in and do a stage or a trail shift to kind of, be in the background a little bit so they can really see what the job is all about. He's certainly going to explain any kind of benefits or social activities or things available to employees and show them where everything is kept. So, for cooks, here's the dry storage, here's where stuff is in the walk-in, here's where we keep the sheet pans. For waiters, lemons are over here for cutting them. This is where you get more paper for the point of sale receipt printer, things like that. And so thinking about training, most training, we're talking about comprehensive, step-by-step job learning, which may be done by checklists or, other cards, things like that. Basically, your approach to training is you analyze the job, what needs to be done, break it down into the tasks that get performed, and then teach those tasks in the order that they were performed. So, for a waiter, right, for taking the order, tasks might be bringing the menu, explaining the specials, answering questions, taking the beverage order, taking the food order, entering that into the point of sale system, communicating with the kitchen about any special requests, right? All of those would be separate sort of tasks adding up to that one job, and you're going to have to train somebody how to do all of those. And it's really going to be up to you to decide how extensive written job instruction should be. Usually being brief is kind of an asset, so you might have these on little cards or small, easy to remember things. And that might also be kind of a guide for a longer, maybe more formal description. You're probably going to be dealing with a lot of part-time employees. And so advantages and disadvantages there. Advantages usually don't have to pay benefits. They've got a flexible schedule. Disadvantages would be kind of lack of really being part of the team or continuity. They usually need more training because they're not there as often, and often are less motivated. So, we can train for the skills. Years ago, I went to a hospitality forum put on by Zagat, and Nicholas Payton, who at the time was the general manager of the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco in their restaurants, said, he was on a panel about service, and and people were talking, asking him what he looks for when he's hiring somebody, and said, this is going to sound, well, maybe I'm going to sound weird, but I'm looking for psychologically damaged people. I want people pleasers, because those are the people who are going to go the extra mile to make sure that my guests are beyond happy, that they're thrilled, that they're going to take it personally if people are not enjoying themselves. said, I can teach skills. I can teach them what side of the guest to deliver the food to, and which side to clear from. I can teach them how to fold napkins. I can teach them how to set the table, but I cannot teach them to care about people. And that's certainly the truth. So, I've always kept that in mind. I don't necessarily describe the people I hire as psychologically damaged, but I am looking for people who want to take care of other people, because we can break down the training step by step. I can't teach somebody, like you said, to care about somebody else. What I can do is model behavior. So in other words, to kind of, lead by example and kind of be a coach. So, train and motivate people, and, show them how to perform. Certainly give criticism when needed. Show them the right way to do things. Definitely give positive feedback, and try to instill the will to win, let's say, because characteristics of kind of an effective manager, we can kind of think of as, always trying to do better than their own past performance and to compete with other restaurants. They never get too comfortable, generally problem solvers and enjoy a challenge, certainly adaptable and flexible, looking to the future and anticipating future problems, not crying over spilled milk, but seeking responsibility. They handle rejection or temporary failure without being discouraged. Contrary to popular belief, are not perfectionists. Certainly you might strive for some sort of perfection. Know that that's never attainable, and do not let the great get away. Do not let the perfect become the enemy of the good or the great. When dealing with people, you take responsibility for them and see them as ends, not means. So in other words, the people are what's important, not what they're doing. Right? Your dishwasher is a human being, a person first, and then does that job secondly. Our goal is to build employee independence and initiative. And, there's an old joke that says, well, gosh, what if I train all these people and build them up and give them initiative, and then they do a great job and they leave? Well, the answer is, what if you don't train them and they stay? Right? We want to communicate confidence, because remember, you're always the role model. Certainly have concern and compassion for your employees' well-being. You lead by example, with consistency, with fairness, and you're always trying to motivate your people. And to motivate, you've got to be something of a leader. And we can talk about characteristics of leadership as well. So, because we don't really manage people, we lead them. Being a leader is exciting, and almost everything we do depends on physical labor of usually hourly or kind of non-managerial workers. So whether that's cooks, bartenders, dishwashers, custodians, waiters, whatever. Their production is going to depend really largely on how they're led. And so our greatest challenge is going to be to motivate them. And one of the ways of motivating them is by being a leader. And so leadership we can define as a process by which a person with a vision is able to influence the activities and outcome of others. So, vision. Where do you see this place? What is your place about? You're describing that mission in kind of an appealing way, and sort of instilling this commonness of purpose, some self-esteem, a sense of membership. Characteristics of leader: drive, desire to influence others, self-confidence, moral character, honesty, intelligence, relative knowledge, power. And that could be the power to influence others to behave in a particular way. So that could be, power's a tricky one, because that could be legitimate power, so it's derived from position as owner, as manager, whatever. Or reward power, so you can give bonuses or you can grant somebody better shifts. Coercive power, so you can threaten negative outcomes, take away good shifts, you can fire somebody. Or there's expert power, so you're charismatic or you do well and you're just, people look up to you kind of naturally. If we're trying to develop leadership, you got to, and this would be, you're training your managers to become leaders as well. So you got to commit the time, the resources, the money to train. Certainly, you're going to, again, identify what skill and what's attitude, right? You want to make sure those skills are trained, but that the attitude is in place. The nature of leadership, there's formal authority, which is, the right to command given by the organization. So in other words, you're hired as the manager, the owners say, boom, this person has the authority, has the formal authority. But the real authority is given to you by the people who work for you. And you have to earn the right to lead them. Everybody's been in a situation where a new boss or new manager comes in, and sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. Almost always there's some resistance from existing employees about that new person walking into a situation. So you really have to instill in these people that, you want to be their leader. Part of that would be leadership by walking around. So spend a significant part of your day talking to your employees, to your guests, and your peers, because everybody wants to know, what's in it for me. So you're always going to be collecting employee input on the menu, on service methods, on cost reductions, recycling programs, all of that. Not to say that there aren't policies and procedures in place. Even for the smallest restaurants, we need them, because without them, chaos prevails. We have to have some ground rules and know how we're all playing the game. You'll get more respect by having policies and procedures in place. Now, we always tell people that, there may be good reasons to go beyond those policies and procedures, and we'll always support an employee in the moment. We might come back and say, next time I might do it like this, or, here's how we like to do things. But basically, we're trying to plan, we're trying to set some goals and implement those by our policies, procedures. Certainly guest satisfaction and loyalty are key and high among our goals. Certainly sales, right? We might set sales goals. We have to keep our costs in line, so we're setting goals for food and beverage costs as well as our labor costs. Our direct operating expenses, we're setting goals for how we're going to meet those objectives. What else about leadership? What can I say? Beyond leading by example, one of the best ways to get people motivated or involved is to really make them feel like they are a part of the decision process and how things are going to be. Again, we've all been in that situation where we've been told, here's how things are around here, whether that was by our parents, whether that was at a new job, whatever, without necessarily a lot of input. So, we need to establish really good communication, particularly with the people who are interacting with guests, because we want them to communicate well with our guests. And one of the best ways of improving your communication, is by active listening. So really hearing and really understanding what's being said. Most of us, myself included, if we're not focused on active listening, when we're in a conversation, half of the time we are thinking of our responses or what we're going to say or what we have to add to this conversation, rather than really focusing on what that other person is saying. This is certainly a struggle for me. I practice or try to practice active listening all the time, because that's going to be kind of key to motivating people. Because to motivate somebody, you need to know what makes them tick. What are their needs? What are their desires? What do they fear? What do they wish for? What are their dreams? What are their goals? Right? And so once we know their whys, maybe we can energize them, help them take action. Because to motivate somebody that's going hand in hand with productivity, somebody who's motivated is going to do a better job. You know, we when I'm talking about the specific jobs, I kind of don't care in a way how they get done, long as the result is the same. So, you know, if an employee or somebody can come up with a better way to do things than I have currently, wow, so much the better. I've learned something. I'm trying to learn something every day. So, you know, training is ongoing and consistent. Particularly in the kitchen, you know, I'm always trying to learn new techniques myself and trying to pass those on both to my students and to people who work for me, and to make that you know, a goal of mine personally, because it empowers them, it enriches them, and hopefully inspires them to go and learn some new techniques that they can bring to me. So, you know, for those of you that I have in lab classes, I'm looking forward to learning from you just as much as hopefully you're going to be learning from me.